Welcome back to the coil building tutorial series. In this video, we're going to be building a corrugated staple staggered fuse Clapton. I'm Sherlock Holmes, and on this channel I do build tutorials like this, product reviews, live streams, all kinds of cool stuff. So if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. As I said, we're going to be doing the Corrugated SSFC stapled staggered fused Clapton. I have other tutorials on normal stapled staggered fused Claptons and frame staple, alien frame staple, things like that. I'm going into this video assuming that you're at this level. I'm not going to cover all the basics. I'm just going to take you through the process of how I make this. I have coils like this available for purchase on my website, sherlockhohms.com. With that being said, let's get into this. For this coil, you are going to need your patience game. Strong patience game. This can be time consuming, it can be difficult. Right off the bat, I'm going to say take your time and make sure that your prep game is on point. Don't cut corners when it comes to prep. I'm guilty of it all the time and it makes my life harder. So take the time and do your prep right. We do need one special tool for this build, and it is a paper crimper. I have links in the description for everything that you need for building, including this paper crimper. Other than that, there's nothing special that we need. For this build, I'm going to be using 28 gauge Kanthal for the frames, 0.4 ribbon for the corrugated and the other ribbon, and 38 gauge stainless steel on the outside. I like the stainless steel for the colors. You can substitute these wires for anything you want. Instead of the 0.4, you can use 0.3. You can use a higher gauge wire for the outer wrap if you'd like. You can use nichrome or stainless for the ribbon. It doesn't matter. Use what you have, but just keep in mind that when you change the wire material, your resistance will be affected. I use Kanthal strictly to raise the resistance. Jumping right into this, we're going to start with the frames. This is one of the most important parts of this build, the other being the corrugated ribbon. Even staggering on your Claptons will make a world of difference. It'll probably make or break your build. The tool I'm about to use, I do have available for sale on my website. I call it the Stagger Maker or the Staggerer. So that's what I'm going to be using. That's my method of staggering. It's just the easiest method that I've found. So if you use a different method, that's absolutely fine. Just adapt this to your way of doing it. The same goes for when I mount my ribbon and my frames. If you do it different, if you use hot glue or key rings or whatever it is, that's fine. Just adapt my method if you need to. Overall, I'm shooting for a 9-inch finished core. I do my frames all at once. So I'm going to take an 18-inch piece of the 28 and pull it straight, attach one end to the swivel, and mount the other into the chuck. I'm going to grab my 38 gauge and clip off about 2 inches. This is going to be used as my spacing wire. I'm going to insert my 38 into the chuck and just spin a little bit, manually spacing maybe a 1/4 of an inch, just a little bit. To mount my stagger, I set my spool down somewhere it's not going to roll away on me, and I hold my staggerer in my left hand. I thread my space wire through the loop of the stagger maker, hold it together with my left hand, the same hand that I'm holding the stagger maker, then take the other end and pinch them both with the same hand. Now I have that V made, and I'm just going to grab that V with my pliers and just twist it together 5 or 6 times, just enough so that it's not going anywhere. Then I pull that twisted end down to the bottom and release the stagger. I make sure that spacing wire is in that spacing. As I do this, I'm making sure that I stay at a 90-degree angle. I really want to stay at 90 degrees the whole way down. So go slow if you have to, whatever you need to do to get this right. Doing this correctly and having even spacing will greatly increase your chances of having a successful build. When I have it all set up, I'm going to let it rip. When I get down to the other end, I leave about a 1/2 inch before I cut it, because when I cut it, it's going to spring back a little bit. I do want this loose, and I want it to be able to move freely on the core. So if I need to, I'll reverse the drill and spin it for a second or two, just enough to loosen it all up. And then I'm going to take it off. I put it down to my ruler. I'm going to center my spaced Clapton on the ruler. So I'll have equal amounts of non-Clapton wire on each end, just bare wire. Then I'm going to cut that in half, and I'm going to keep them going the same direction. Once I cut it in half, I'm going to slide the space wire. Both bare ends of the wire, those are going to be at the swivel end. As I'm fusing it all together, that's going to allow that space Clapton to be able to move back if it needs to. So I want a little bit of bare end at the swivel end, so I have some wiggle room there. Those are my frames. Once I get my frames done, I'm going to put those aside. Now we're going to start on our ribbon. For the sake of this tutorial, our finished coil is going to have 6 pieces of ribbon in it. The 2 middle ones are going to be the corrugated one, which is going to make it pretty wide. So I'm going to cut 2 18-inch pieces. And when I fold those over, that's going to create 4, and then I'm going to cut one 22-inch piece. After I crimp that and fold it over, it should give me about 2 9-inch pieces. I'm going to take that 22-inch piece and run it through the paper crimper. Nice and easy, making sure that that ribbon is fed to the middle of the gears. Once that comes through, I want to be really gentle with that. I don't want to stretch it. That'll pull out the folds. But I do want to take my hands and I kind of just bend it the opposite way just to try to get it a little bit straighter, because it's going to be easier to work with the straighter it is. Now we have everything prepped out. Everything's ready to come together. I start with the corrugated ribbon. I'll thread one end through the swivel. I'm going to touch the ends together, just run my fingers up to the swivel and pinch there so I know everything's the same length. I'm going to take my 2 pieces of ribbon and do the same thing. Thread them through, touch the ends together. Don't worry about how long the corrugated piece is, because that's going to probably be longer. You want to match up the actual ribbon, the uncorrugated ribbon. Again, run them up to the swivel, and here's right here at the swivel, I'm going to try to get the corrugated ribbon on the inside of the non-corrugated ribbon. And when I have that together in my hand, I'm going to keep it pinched and insert my frames one at a time. So I'm going to drop one down, pinch it, then drop the other one in and pinch it. I'm going to put a paper clip on there to hold everything together, and then I'm going to tie it just to keep the frames from falling out on me. We've got the beginning set now, we've got to work down the rest. Now I kind of go wibble wobble pinching and kind of pulling back and forth and just kind of working it all the way down, and every couple inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, I'll throw a paper clip on there once I get it all together. Take your time with it, work it, you'll get it. You just got to keep working with it, stay patient. If the 2 pieces of corrugated aren't falling together, just take one end of it and just gently give it a little pull, and that should line everything up nice for you. So just work your way down to the end. Once I get down to the end, I'll clip everything up nice and tie it with a piece of scrap wire. I use a hand drill when I fuse all this together. You don't have to, but it just gives me a lot more control, and it's just much easier for me, and actually turns out to be quicker in the long run. I'm going to pay real close attention when I mount this into the hand drill. It's really easy for your cores to get bent out of shape when you're putting this in the chuck. So just be really careful. Get it as tight as you can without damaging the cores or warping or bending the cores. This is probably one of the hardest parts, is getting everything together. Don't freak out if when you're fusing all this together that you have to like end up going a little bit diagonal. It happens sometimes. If the spacing wasn't absolutely perfect, you might have to go a little back and forth. That's fine, as long as it's not extreme and real severe of an angle. Once you spin that up, it won't be noticeable. If you need to use reading glasses or a head strap magnifier, feel free. It makes it a lot easier to see it. Now you can do every space or do every other, regardless of which way you choose. You're going to start seeing a pattern emerge. So instead of, looking directly at which one you're doing, you can kind of work off of that pattern. You can see that pattern laying down as opposed to lining up every single hole, and it just makes it a little bit easier to move a little bit quicker. Take your time with it though. that's the corrugated stapled staggered fused Clapton. I do have these available for purchase on my website sherlockhohms.com. I do all kinds of vape giveaways over on my Patreon. It's a great way to help support this channel because all my videos got demonetized, and earn some awesome rewards in the process. If you like this video, body slam that like button and consider subscribing. Let me know what coils you'd like to see me do in the comments. Hometown Hero Vapor has been awesome enough to give me a code to give you guys to get 15% off your entire order at hometownherovapor.com. That code is Mr. Hohms, MRHOHMS. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Sherlock Holmes, and I'll see you in the next video.